As virtual reality headsets become increasingly more affordable and available to consumers, many are predicting that virtual sex will soon become ubiquitous. This technology also yields new research opportunities into treatment options that were previously not possible. Dr. Laurie Brotto and PhD candidate Natalie Brown are researchers at the Sexual Health Research Lab at the University of British Columbia. Their research investigates how VR erotica affects women and how it can be used to treat sexual dysfunction. In this video, captured at LSR 2022, they discuss the potential applications of this technology in regards to exposure therapy and intimacy, and why the content of VR erotica matters.
VR allows researchers to study how people respond to situations that are not easily stimulated within the lab. And recent innovations in VR technology have made it much more accessible. As a result, there's been a proliferation of VR research, and other health disciplines, namely psychology, have really capitalized on the sense of presence that VR stimuli evoke by developing virtual reality exposure therapy, or VRET, which immerses individuals in a 3D simulation of their feared situation. And research suggests that VRET is similarly effective as real-life exposure for specific phobias. So for example, let's say I'm treating somebody with aviophobia, which involves a fear of flying in airplanes. I would have them gradually complete exposure exercises. We might start out with having them drive to the airport, sit in the airport lobby, and then take flights repeatedly. Now, the thing about taking multiple flights, it gets expensive. So researchers actually came up with a workaround. They developed virtual simulations of flights, and they tend to work just as well.
3D virtual reality technology has the potential to increase the salience of erotic videos and result in higher levels of sexual presence, which in turn may bring about enhanced feelings of sexual arousal. Utilizing virtual reality erotica to boost levels of sexual arousal may provide an improved and alternative to traditional research methods by creating a more realistic experience for people in the lab. And the high degree of ecological validity and control that's permitted by VR may enable possible therapeutic applications, such as exposure-based treatments of sexual dysfunction. Because I'm a clinician, I'm a clinical psychologist, and very interested in the use of these technologies to help people with sexual concerns. So in the case of our current work using virtual reality for people with vaginismus, which is an extreme phobic reaction to any kind of vaginal penetration. This is Natalie's PhD work, and Natalie's shown that people are, for the first time ever, able to engage with sexual content that they've been trying for years and years to do at home on their own. And actually it's probably going to be really important for them to overcome their sexual related phobias so that they can do all of this work on their own and they can feel so confident and ready when they want to engage in real life penetration. So I think that that perspective, which really highlights the things that we can do with VR and erotica that we cannot do otherwise, is a really important perspective to address, the whole kind of fear mongering around the dangers of porn.
I think that really gets to context, the importance of setting up a story within which women can embed their sexuality. And so I think that really points to the importance of choosing erotic stimuli that actually doesn't just kind of jump straight into sexual images, but actually kind of sets the scene. We do offer folks, they get to select what types of actors they actually want to view. So it is rather limited, kind of given that VR sexual stimuli is a more limited pool than 2D sexual stimuli. When they come into the lab, we usually say you can either watch kind of films that show a man and a woman engaging in sexual activity or two women engaging in sexual activity, and they make their choice privately in the headset. I don't see it. I would love to also have representation from gender non-binary folks and other bodies. We're working on that for our future studies.
This kind of Erotic stimuli, sexual psychophysiology research has been going on for 40 years. And finally, now in 2022, maybe 2021, we're starting to be much more thoughtful around preferences and gender and all of those sorts of things. So we're way behind in considering features of the films and features of the person that elicit a more positive experience for them. So what we did is we actually worked with a group of people. So we always work with advisory groups, whether it's public advisory groups or patient advisory groups, to actually help us choose the stimuli. So they're given a whole suite of different stimuli, and then they tell us what we should be using in the research. It's not the researchers coming in dictating what people should be watching. And like I said, there's a small amount of preference there. We need to be doing a lot better and a lot more careful of a job to unpack what are the actual features of film rather than the gender of the person it was produced by that are appealing to the viewer. There's lots of different ways to vary the stimuli of the actors in terms of race, ability levels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're actually limited by the availability of the VR stimuli that are out there. And so this is a call for all of you who are in the business of making VR erotica. Please try and increase the diversity of the actors so that we can do better in terms of people's preferences, but also in our research.